to stage 9 of Ghost Babel, the random stage. If you watched our stage 8 tutorial, you'll know that this stage, the power plant part 2, has the RNG factor of pillars. These pillars or columns have exposed corners, and we're going to have to plant C4 at these exposed corners, all 4 of them, to blow up the power plant and escape the power plant. But where these pillars are random. And thus the routing for this stage is pretty dynamic depending on what pillars you get. So this is a spot right by the ration, and this is a spot over here. This spot is pretty bad. You don't want to get that spot. We can't lay down the C4 yet, but we can when we return. Hit the elevator button. Swap to your C4 now. A weird thing is, you think you could hold down into this door, but you can't. Sync won't interact with this door if you just hold straight down. So instead, you need to hold a little bit to the left just to open the door. And I have not found a way to get past this guard effectively without knocking him out, so do that. And then weave your way around here. Snake's going to realize he can't take out the generator because of an electrified floor, and then we're going to destroy the power plant with the columns. So run up here always, pick up the C4, lay down C4 at that corner. If it's there, that's a good spot to get. And then over here are 2 spots in the basement, one here, one there. It's more effective to check this spot on stage 9 than stage 8 because you can just dip in, dip out like this to see it. And over here is a mine detector, but we don't need that. Alright, so coming back through, we can slip by this guy with a 2-punch buffer. Just run on by. You can also knock him out if you like. Then hold up. This is also a spot right here. Wait for the elevator. Go on ahead. Plant the bomb here if it's visible. And this is also a spot. So these 2 spots, 1, 2. This pillar has 4 spots in total. So the ration on the upper left, and then that bottom left spot that is bad that we have to go through several rooms to get to. These are all connected. And just to remind you, if one of these pillar corners are active, none of the other corners can be active on the same pillar. So it's 1 spot per pillar or column, whatever you prefer to call them. Now I know since I went over here during the Pyrobison fight that this spot is active. And just be aware that you got to be close to the pillar to plant it. You got to be within this square. So just make sure you're in the square before you try to plant. Don't get annoyed since you're planting too far away. Just make sure you're on the square. Then you'll want to run over here to pick up grenades. Now, if you're just running through here and you know that neither of the spots are active, you can just kind of do a down right like so. Pick up the grenades that way. And then you'll exit into this room. Now, on my previous stage, I picked up these grenades already, but I learned that that's actually not the most efficient thing to do. It's actually faster to pick these up potentially in this stage than in the previous stage, so I'll show you how to handle that. You go up here, pick up the grenades. That guy will usually miss. And now this door is open, and now's a good time to check this spot. So if you get this spot, the routing is going to change a bit because we're going to need to use a chaff. If this spot is not active, we won't need to use a chaff during this stage. But on this stage, we actually got the bomb right there. So that's pretty cool. That's a good spot as well. As well, when you're exiting here, you can check the bad vent spots. And it may seem like I'm jumping around a bit here, but like I said, this stage is so random. So this is a good place to check when you run past this floor. You can look and see if you want to. And if those spots are active, you're going to have to go through this vent, hold up right, then you're going to turn up left, then you're going to turn down left, then you're going to turn down right. As you can see, it takes a really long time to get there. I'm just using turbo mode to make it faster. Up left, up right, down right, down left. Then you'll exit. So yeah, cross your fingers you don't get that spot, because it really sucks. Now I'm going to show the left rooms for you folks. You run this way, and there are a bunch of turrets in here. Now there is Glil ammo over here and C4 ammo over here. You can pick those up if you'd like. They're a little bit out of the way, but, you know, the option is there. But this is the opposite end of the vent spot. So this is the opposite wall. This is the spot right here. Plant that. And then the other spots, the final spot that's over on this side is through this floor. But unfortunately, the floor actually is active, unlike the other floors that are not active, because they assume you already destroyed them. So you have to come over here, waste a grenade, and destroy that. And make sure when you're trying to run past these turrets, don't like zigzag, because you could get shot twice. Run linearly, turn right immediately, weave around the boxes, and then plant the C4 there. And if this happens, you probably should throw a stun in here because you're in really tight quarters. Run back out. Probably not like that. I think you would run like this. It doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, just having to go through all that is really bad luck, and you're taking a lot of damage, so you might have to pull out a ration on this stage if that happens. Now we're going to look at the right side. So, assuming we just run through, you're going to have an alert here, and this guard is quite likely to hit you, or shoot you, potentially. Shooting is better than hitting, but he can run over and smack you. So the safest thing to do is just knock this guard out and run on by. Pick up the grenades, head up over here. And as I was saying before, if the spot's over here, you're going to need to plant here, and then you're going to use a chaff. The reason being is that running all the way around takes a long time. That's a few seconds lost versus throwing a chaff here and then running by this camera. Because if that camera spots you, you're going to maintain the alert. But this is only if that spot is active. That is the only reason why you do this strat. Otherwise, you're going to run up like this. Don't mind that guard, he's just having a good old time. And then weave around the tables. And then activate the elevator to go down, and so on and so forth. Now, once you're actually down here, what you did in the previous stage still carries over. So if you didn't blow up the generator, it's going to push you. But unfortunately, damage boosts don't... That damage boost works, but the previous one that we did before. This one doesn't, oddly enough. So it's a little bit faster to throw a grenade to blow up this generator, but if you didn't, just do the damage boost and then run on through. If you have to come this way, and then this spot, turn around, this spot, and then if you're really unlucky, you're going to have to come all the way over here, plant here, or plant here. Now, in addition, if I can find my, there we go. We also have this spot, which is very convenient, even though going down the elevator is slow, or this spot. Now, if you did actually blow up the generator, we can just run through like this, which is nice, and then just hold down left from there. Now, be aware that if you cause an alert here, but the final bomb is down here, the alert will be removed once the cutscene activates us blowing up the power plant. So it's okay to get an alert down here. You're not going to have to necessarily wait for the alert to clear. So let's bring ourselves back here, and I'll show you how to exit the power plant. We've now gone over all the spots possible. So I'm going to run this way, plant the bomb, and I already know that the bomb's over here, but you're going to see that this is not the thing you want to do, because what bomb you lay down last is really important, and laying this one down as my final bomb means I have less room to run before the bombs start exploding, because right here I'll get a codec call, and the Colonel and Mei Ling tell us that we have to blow up the C4 now rather than before we exit. And then the building starts collapsing, and now there's going to be fire all over the place. All the fire is set, however, this rubble you're seeing falling from the ceiling, that is not set. That falls randomly. So just weave around the fire. Be careful not to run into the fire. Don't do that. If all the bomb spots were on the left side, just run over here like this to pick up this grenade. And then run up like so. Try to avoid the rubble if you can, but don't worry, it's not really in your control. Now, you're intended to run all the way around like that to get around this fire, but you can take a shortcut by damage boosting like this, which is nice. And then get against the wall, hopefully not getting hit while you're crawling, because that's really annoying. But another annoying thing that can happen, I'm just going to wait for it to happen, because eventually it will, if the rock will show up. There we go. You'll see that Snake's damage frames cause him to get off the wall, so just be aware that that can happen, and it's annoying. And then you just return to the entrance. But I added a lot of unnecessary distance by setting that off as my final bomb. So if you can help it, try not to do that. Try to explode or lay down the final bomb as close to the entrance as possible, so you minimize how much time you have to run through RNG nonsense. So this time, I'm going to plant that one third. Of course, this requires you to already know you're going to have that spot, which is impossible unless you do a lot of deduction. You'll have to look through every other spot beforehand to deduce that that one's active. Otherwise, you're taking a chance. So now instead, we're actually going to have a lot more room to play with, because we're going to go all the way over here. Still, we're not getting the call. We don't get the call until about here, yep. So this gives the game less opportunity to hit us with rubble. And the less the game can mess with us, the better. Now this tutorial isn't going to run through every single seed option you can get. I'll be taking screenshots of all the flames so people know where the flames are, but you'll get used to this stage with experience. It's not a really complicated stage, it's just a stage that can ruin your time, potentially. That's all. So just sidle across. Hopefully not get slowed down by attacks and get out of the power plant. The power plant. And your time can vary wildly here. You could get a 2-minute time, you could get a 3-minute time, a 4-minute time, a 5-minute time. I think with like maybe the absolute worst RNG, maybe you'd get like a 6-minute time. That'd be really, really rough though. To get that kind of luck is just abysmal. Usually it kind of averages to around 4, high 3s, low 4s, depending. But the big thing is just know what spots, make sure you check on stage 8. That's why I was referring to this when we were doing the stage 8 tutorial. Make sure to look around and be aware, like, okay, that spot isn't active. Okay, that spot is active. And keep a mental count of what pillars are and aren't there so that you can think about the route you're going to take in stage 9 to effectively get through stuff. Otherwise, you're kind of wandering around in the dark. Now, one last note before we close. If you did pick up grenades in the previous stage, which I don't recommend since it's a little bit slower, if you run through here, this camera will spot you, right? Because the camera is in that position. However, if you have to plant here, open the door, you wait a moment. For some reason, this corner, the camera really isn't active. I'm not sure how this works, but you can't avoid getting caught here by doing that. So just be aware of that. But the reality is, like, it's okay to be on alert here since you have stuff to do. For instance, picking up these grenades or laying down C4, etc. And before anyone asks, no, you can't open up this door. I wish you could. It would cut down on some pointless travel, but that is not the case. So yeah, everyone, that is stage 9. I will see you all next time on stage 10, where we'll be fighting the Havoc helicopter. See you then.